Christ beside us, Christ with us. Amen. Please be seated. In a previous incarnation as pastor, I was a youth worker. Lots of dodgeball and pizza. And I worked really hard at it. And today it's hard to get, I don't know if y'all have experienced this, but I have some millennials under my household. Whenever you ask them to do anything, they always say, yeah, maybe, yeah. Which really translates to sometimes, yeah, will, unless better options come forward. And I would have programming, and I'd invite kids to come to the program, and I always get the, well, maybe. And I get a little frustrated. And I'd say, well, I do all this for you, and I try to take it seriously, and I appreciate if you do too. And one of them looked me in the eye, and this really cut my course. She said, to be honest, I'm really busy during the week, and sometimes Sunday morning is the only time I get to sleep. Which, is true for kids today. Then the other thing she said was, you don't have to be so salty. And I got a reputation for being kind of salty. And I am a man of a certain age, so, they got to grant me some grace, right? You cross the half-century mark, and I think you get a little saltiness kind of built in. And then they started saying, Tim's being salty, whenever I would kind of have that grumpy side of my persona, and they kind of roll their eyes at me. And I learned this was a part of the teenage lexicon back in the early 2010s, 2011s. It was sort of the 2012 version of what they say now. Okay, boomer. Yeah. And so, like any puzzled adult, I did what you do when you want to find out what something means, and I looked it up on Google. And in the Urban Dictionary, found a definition that said, being salty is when you are upset over something little. Being bitter over something. As in, he was so salty after his character died in the video game. Or the act of being upset, angry, or bitter is a result of being made fun of or embarrassed. Also, a characteristic of a person who feels out of place or is feeling attacked. I never felt attacked, but I guess I was a little salty because I was grumpy. I don't know that I was bitter so much. But before then, I'd never associated saltiness with grumpiness or being in a bad mood. And to be honest, it kind of hurt my feelings because I think I'm a pretty nice person. And if you ever see me being salty, please just let me know. Feedback is nice. Saltiness, I was taught through the gospel, was generally a good thing, right? You are the salt of the earth, Jesus says. You are the light of the world, Jesus reminds us. Salt is a good thing. Without it, we can't live. Light is a good thing. Without the right kind of light, we don't get enough vitamin D. We can't read at night. We bump into things. And the phenomenon of too much salt is a modern kind of problem. Back in Jesus' day, salt was in short supply, and you really had to kind of supplement your diet with it. And in fact, it was a precious commodity. And the term salary apparently comes from the Latin word salarium, which salarium was a supplement to a Roman soldier's salary, the way he got paid, in order that he could go out and buy his salt a lot. Because they sweat a lot, I guess, and all that armor. And they needed salt to supplement their diet. Yet, if I were to call you a salty church, because you are a salty church in the Jesus sense, those same kids I knew would laugh. St. Paul's, by that definition, is decidedly unsalty. We have got love to spare in this place. But whatever we have of the modern sense of saltiness, it's kind of an ongoing project. At the very least, I'd say daily and weekly, I witness a lot of worldly kindness kindness and community and care here. And if you've been sitting around the table with your leadership, with your vestry last weekend, and heard us talk about our priorities. Oh, by the way, a little plug here. After church, the warden and I are going to be in the classroom talking about those priorities and other things, like Christian formation. You would have heard those priorities spelled out in words like connection, figuring out how to connect us all to one another better, re-engagement, reaching out to those in our flock who might have drifted off during this transition, and reaching out, asking ourselves how what we do here can engage the people in our immediate neighborhood. You would have heard the leadership of this church committing to behaviors like spreading out and talking to folks on Sunday morning, seeking out guests who identify themselves and people we don't know and making sure that we meet them and learn their names and invite them back, and lots of others. So I think in the millennial sense of the word, we are not salty. And at least we're starting to do our best not to be. However, if there is a prayer for St. Paul right now, is that we do consider for a moment how we might be a little salty in the modern sense. Part of why we need to commit to some of these new behaviors is because these are exactly things that we're already pretty good at. There's a lot there. And if we want to be even more Jesus salty and less world salty, then we have to keep working to be even better. On the one hand, as I experience and witness all the time, we are a family church. Time and again, what I hear from folks who've come up in this church and been here their whole lives is that there are people who have adopted them into their family. People for whom I've heard so many times, oh, she was my mother. Not like my mother, or he was my father. Daily, I enjoy sitting right in the middle of this part of our 140-year legacy. We have a congregation here, well, I think we have more cradle Episcopalians than I've ever known here. Lots of Jesus saltiness, lots of flavor, and lots of preservative power from the Holy Spirit. Yet we're entering into a new part of our history. We're entering into a search. You'll be hearing more about this in the coming days. And I just want us to take a moment and name that during transitions like this, we can run into the danger of the other kind of saltiness, the kind that runs up our blood pressure collectively, the kind that perhaps is a little less than friendly and desirable. And something I read this week really applies to this. I'd never thought about this before. But salt has preservative power, meaning that it roots out and it regulates and it preserves against decay. Salt has, as one writer I read this week says, it has an edge as well as a satisfying taste. And salt is a thirst stimulant. To be salty, then, might not just mean to be preserved or satisfied with the good taste that surrounds us, but also to find our growing edge and figure out how we can stimulate our thirst. Even in the midst of the great light that spills out from St. Paul's, we have to embrace this challenge that saltiness presents. Rather than being a preserved church, we can be a thirsty church. We can search for the living waters of Christ in here, and more importantly, out there. Rather than being a church that hoards the salt of the living Word of God, we can take this precious commodity to the people who surround us and to those who come in to be a part of our community for the first time or for the first time in a long time. We sit at a beautiful crossroads, friends. We sit at a moment when we can, with God's help, we can move away from the bitter saltiness of our past and towards the precious saltiness of Christ. And we will experience some failure as we do this. We will experiment and try things sometimes and throw up our hands and say, well, this just didn't quite work, did it? But in the midst of that, we'll be in relationship and friendship with one another and with those who aren't here yet with this kind of Jesus saltiness. And you know, we might even need to, on occasion, challenge one another. Throw up some limits, some boundaries, question one another, ask one another good questions. Because Jesus salty beats bitter salty any day. I'm not sure it is any easier, and it's not always even pleasant to be Jesus salty. But it means that in the end, we are preserved as God's own. Together, we will embrace this challenge of Jesus' saltiness. Together, authentically, with grace aplenty from God and one another, then we will be that salt of the earth.